single BRICS currency is a bad idea, doomed to fail from the start. But the death of this idea isn't the end of the story. The real challenge to the US dollar is something much smarter, much more subtle, and it's already being built. Hi everyone, and welcome to another Economics Thursday. I'm George, a PhD economist, and in this video I will show you the digital alternative that's quietly reshaping global finance. But before I continue, take a moment and hit that subscribe button right now to stay ahead of economic trends. I translate PhD level analysis into practical insights you won't find elsewhere. So, why does this idea of a BRICS currency have such a powerful grip on our attention? It's because it taps into a deep and growing frustration with the current dollar-dominating system. For decades, the world has operated on the dollar standard. This gives the US what's called an exorbitant privilege. And, more importantly, it controls the plumbing of global finance through systems like SWIFT. Washington can and does use this as a political weapon, locking entire nations out of the global economy through sanctions. This has created a powerful desire for an alternative, for countries to reclaim their economic sovereignty. The BRICS group, which has expanded to include countries like Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE, seems like the perfect vehicle for this change. They have already created the NDB, the New Development Bank, as an alternative to the World Bank and the IMF, funding billions in infrastructure projects across the global south. They are also settling more and more trade in their own currencies. A common currency seems like the logical next step. So, with all this momentum, a BRICS currency seems inevitable, right? Not so fast. While the idea gets a lot of attention, leaders have confirmed there are no concrete plans to launch one anytime soon. The focus is on other ways to de-dollarize. Creating a successful currency union is one of the hardest things to do in economics. It demands a level of trust and shared sacrifice that is incredibly hard to achieve. And this is the fatal flaw for BRICS. The project is politically unworkable. You can't build a shared house on a foundation of geopolitical rivalry. Let's start with the most obvious problem: deep political division. A monetary union is a political project. First and foremost, members have to give up a massive amount of sovereignty. Now, look at the BRICS members. They are a diverse group of nations united more by what they oppose than by what they share. The most powerful example is the relationship between its two biggest members, China and India. They are strategic rivals, not partners. They are locked in a tense, decade-long border dispute in the Himalayas that has led to deadly clashes. How can two nations that can't agree on their own borders cede control of their monetary policy to a shared institution? India rightly fears that any BRICS currency would just cement Chinese dominance, something it will never accept. This lack of trust goes beyond the India-China rivalry. The BRICS group is a mix of democracies like Brazil and India, alongside authoritarian states like China and Russia. It has new members with their own regional tensions. These aren't minor disagreements. They are fundamental divides that make the solidarity needed for a currency union a fantasy. Then there is the institutional chaos. A stable currency needs a credible central bank, a shared legal framework, and a fiscal union, a mechanism for richer members to support those hit by economic shocks. The BRICS bloc has none of this. There is no BRICS parliament, no shared treasury, no common court. We already have a cautionary tale: the Eurozone. The countries in the Eurozone are far more similar than the BRICS nations, yet the euro almost fell apart during the debt crisis of the 2010s because it lacked a true fiscal union. If a group of closely aligned democracies nearly failed, what hope does BRICS have? The idea of China agreeing to bail out a struggling Brazilian economy, for example, is politically unthinkable. And finally, there are the profound economic differences. A single interest rate right for China's manufacturing economy could send commodity exporters like Russia or Brazil into recession. It would be a recipe for economic instability. When you add it all up, the conclusion is pretty clear. A single unified BRICS currency isn't a serious proposal. It's a political pipe dream. So, a physical BRICS currency is a fantasy. Does that mean the de-dollarization dream is dead? Again, not at all. The hype around a new coin is a distraction from where the real action is. The true challenge to the dollar's dominance is happening right now, silently, in the digital realm. While a single BRICS currency is unworkable, the real threat is a network of alternative payment systems. This is where the innovation is happening, and it's a much more practical challenge to the old financial order. Forget a BRICS coin. Think of it as a BRICS bridge. The leading example is the development of a multi-central bank digital currency or a multi-CBDC platform. A key project is mBridge, a collaboration that includes the Central Bank of China, the UAE, Thailand, and Hong Kong, with Saudi Arabia recently joining as a full participant. Here is how it works. Instead of creating one new currency, this system creates a common platform where countries can trade directly using digital versions of their own national currencies. A company in China could pay a supplier in the UAE in digital yuan, which is instantly converted to digital reals on the platform, with the transaction settling in seconds. This model is revolutionary because it targets the dollar's main role as a middleman for global trade without requiring the impossible political sacrifices of a full currency union. First, it preserves national sovereignty, the biggest political hurdle, if you want it. Second, it dramatically cuts costs by up to 50% and increases speed. Third, it bypasses the existing Western-controlled financial plumbing like SWIFT. This directly achieves a core goal of de-dollarization, insulating countries from US sanctions. And fourth, it prevents one country from dominance since it uses a basket of national currencies. And this isn't just a theory. Project mBridge has already reached the minimum viable product stage, meaning it's a functioning platform ready for commercial use. China, Russia, and India are all developing their own alternatives payment systems with the goal of making them all work together. This is how you build a resilient, decentralized network of payment channels that exist entirely outside the dollar's orbit. This is the real threat to dollar dominance. It's not a loud frontal assault. It's quite technological revolution. So, to conclude, the world is buzzing with talk of a new BRICS currency, but it's a distraction. The idea is a political non-starter. Not because the desire for an alternative isn't real, but because the deep divisions within the BRICS bloc make it impossible. The unbridgeable gap between rivals like India and China alone is enough to sink the project. But the failure of a single BRICS currency doesn't mean the failure of the broader BRICS project. The real story, the one we should all be watching, isn't about a coin that will likely never be minted. It's about the quiet digital revolution that is already happening, a network of interconnected payment systems and digital currencies is slowly but surely chipping away at the dollar's empire. This digital alternative is a far more sophisticated and workable threat. It offers countries a path financial independence without demanding political suicide. That is the real challenge to the global order, and its story is just beginning. You might have missed that, but earlier I talked about the fail of the Eurozone. So in the next Economics Thursday video, you will find why Eurozone has failed to create the dominant world reserve currency and why the European Union seems to fall apart. See you all first on Tuesday with a surprise video. Bye bye.